This is a real-world, no-nonsense comparison and review of the brand new R5 Mark II. We're gonna be putting it up against the OG R5, seeing where it's better, seeing where it's worse. Also gonna throw a little C70 action in there as well. Check the chapters, I've listed everything below, nothing in particular order, just pick and choose, see what you wanna see, and we'll be good to go. Let's get right to it. First thing is gonna be the big one, what everyone's talking about, C-Log2. Is it better, is it worse, is it the same, is it a scam, is it great? We're gonna find out right now. We've got a beautiful sunrise brewing, classic Florida Sanibel sunrise. You cannot beat it. I have both cameras here, f8, 400 ISO. It's still pretty early, so it's not the best test for dynamic range yet, but just to kind of see beautiful colors and stuff, I really want to see what C-Log is doing in the R2. So we're just gonna kind of let it roll. So we have the sun peeking out there and it looks absolutely beautiful. I'm catching it on the R5 II. In a second, I'm gonna switch over, put the lens on the R5 and get this same shot before it gets too bright. I wanna see how they both handle it. But wow, what a beautiful sunrise. You can't beat Sanibel Island, you really can't. There's a drone above me and it's not mine. Okay, so now I'm gonna switch over to the R5. Now what you're seeing is the R5. Only difference I see is, I don't know, I feel like it's a bit hazier for some reason. It could just be the LUT that Canon applies in camera for the C-Log2 and 3. But it is beautiful. Now I'm gonna do something a bit different. I'm gonna compare the 4K RAW coming from the C70 to the 8K and 4K SRAW coming out of the R5 Mark II. Really curious about the SRAW 4K. Is it great? Is it a gimmick? Is it nothing? Is it worthless? Because that's a big deal. If it's good, that's gonna be crazy. So let's see what it looks like. By the way, I have a 128 card in this R5 Mark II and I can record 1 minute and 20 seconds of 8K RAW, just so you know. So I'm only gonna record a few seconds here of the 8K. So it is rolling. They both look beautiful. The display, I'm getting a much better image from the display of the R5 II in terms of dynamic range, much more detail in the sun area. Now let's switch over to R5 SRAW and 4K. Okay, so now this is 4K RAW coming out of the C70, 24 FPS. 4K SRAW coming out of the R5, 24 FPS. Same exact settings. Still the same thing. On the display on the R5 II, I can totally see the sun and it's totally blown out on the C70. I'm wondering if there's still some condensation built up inside the C70 because it's crazy humid out here. But right now, I mean, the R5 II is looking beautiful. Okay, now this is just standard 4K, not RAW, C-Log2 compared to C70 C-Log2 RAW. Now we're gonna see how these suckers handle focusing in direct sunlight, also some shadow recovery. So I'm blocking the sun right here. Let's see how they do. It's hard to see now, but it doesn't look like either of them are struggling. We have the R2 on the right and the R on the left. R5, Mark I. Doesn't look like either are struggling with autofocus. Let's see how far I can go. So right now I should be blocking the sun on both cams. Peeking out a little bit. Walk forward. And that should do it. So now we're gonna go through the gauntlet. We're gonna do R5 II, SRAW, C-Log2, and 8K RAW. Gonna do C70, regular MP4, C-Log2, and 4K RAW. And then just the R5 I, C-Log3. Same shot, same lens, same tripod. Should be pretty much identical in terms of the shot and the setup. Only thing different will be the different codecs and formats and stuff like that. So this is the highest form of 8K RAW. I only have 40 seconds on here, so I'm just gonna do a 4-second shot. Gonna be focusing on this little stick. Okay, and here we go. So that is 8K RAW, 2600 megabits per second. And that'll do, 5 seconds. Now we're gonna drop down to SRAW, 4K, and highest form of that, 740 megabits per second. Good stuff. Now we're gonna go to the lower quality version of SRAW, 4K, 330 megabits per second. Oh, hunting a little bit there. Okay, and now let's just do regular 4K, not RAW. I'm really curious to see how this stacks up. And there we go. Beautiful sunrise. And here's the R5, C-Log2, just MP4, 4K. Nice little bird in the shot. This is the C70 4K RAW. The sun is certainly coming out. Now we are going to a wildlife preserve. Sanibel's, what's this place called? Bailey Tract. Now is the IBIS. We're gonna test the IBIS with the 24-70 and also the 70-200. I don't have a wide angle, I only have the 24, but we'll test out a little wobble. I know for sure that it's still there. I don't know if it's better or worse. I was doing a real estate shoot yesterday on a 14mm and it was definitely still there and definitely evident. So we're gonna see how it goes. I'm just gonna get a few shots here and we'll see how the IBIS has improved. All those shots were with the 70-200, a little shaky, but then again, walking at 200mm is not gonna happen. So I'm gonna try just walking and seeing how stable I can get this. This is the 24, and this is not digital IS, this is just IBIS. I personally don't like using digital IS. Makes it look a little wonky sometimes, unless you like have to be stable. But yeah, this is just IBIS. 24 FPS, 4K. As far as I can see, I think it's handling it remarkably well. And what you're seeing now, I'm not gonna add any extra stabilization and no color grading, it's just gonna be raw out of the camera. It's not, you know, when it's in that IBIS, it kind of locks in. It doesn't seem like it's like, you know, jerking out of that IBIS. I felt good about that, but it's kind of hard to know, obviously. That looks pretty good. So I'm gonna do a few more shots just with a 24 and see how it goes. And then just for kicks and giggles, this is me vlogging. I don't know if any of that warp will be evident on the 24, I kind of doubt it. I know one thing for sure, the IBIS has definitely been improved. That was pretty shocking actually. Super smooth, no weird wobble as far as I saw. I'll look back at this and see if there's anything. But yeah, IBIS definitely improved, and you know, on the fly when you don't have a tripod and you're just getting those establishing shots or certain B-roll shots, if you're stable and you can do that ninja walk, you should be good to go. Two important things to mention. I've been shooting out here about 6.5, 7 hours and my battery's half empty, which is good. It's the brand new battery, the one you have to have, otherwise this camera is an absolute brick. With battery, camera. Without battery, brick. You gotta buy new batteries. Thanks, Canon. So battery life is good. I've been shooting quite a bit. And second thing, it's about 100 degrees out here, crazy humid. I mean, I'm dripping sweat, and I haven't even come close to overheating. Very good news. I've been shooting 8K, 4K, SRAW, 60 FPS, 120, no overheating. So definitely good. It has a new way of reading it. It has little bars rather than just saying camera's too hot. And it seems to cool off a lot faster. I got up to like 3 bars out of like 10 or whatever. Put it down for a second and then it was totally good. So battery life, overheating, 2 thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. We are back in the cave of editing, happiness, and joy, and I want to go a bit deeper into some of these clips because there's a few things that really shocked me. So let's get right into it. Here we have 7 of some of the most interesting shots I got at the beach, and I was kind of just going through them, messing around with the color. So real quick, I just want to kind of play around with each one of them and just see how they handle certain things. We're going to start here with this helicopter. This was shot in 120 frames, but I slowed it down so it's nice and smooth. One thing, oh, and by the way, I just have this going into DaVinci Wide Gamut and then Rec 709 here at the end. This is what it looks like in log. This is Rec 709. We're just gonna go in here a little bit. We're gonna kind of focus here on this helicopter and just see what we can do. So cranking the contrast, what I noticed is the noise that existed in the R5 in the shadows is pretty much completely gone. Almost completely, actually. I mean, the shadows on this chopper are crystal clear. I mean, perfect. Not a single bit of noise. So that is great. And even if I bring the shadows up to 100%, even still pretty clean, all things considered. Okay, yeah, so this is a pretty standard shot, but still, there's a lot of range, a lot of stuff you can do to it for sure. This is another really good clip. Again, 120. A pelican flying in front of the sun. This is actually after I did, a little bit of a grade to it before you had this. So that's pretty substantial. So that is Rec 709, and that is just a very quick little grade, basically just adjusting the shadows. That is, the fact that we still have this much detail and detail in the actual pelican, pretty crazy. And I can tell you this would not have happened with the R5 I can tell you that much right now. Very nice. So that one also very, very good. Like that is shocking. And I would even add, I would even do something like that. Really make it nice and heavenly. So you can see that sun just pouring out of there. I have a little bit of a glow on it as well. Right here, with and without that, it really adds a difference. Sometimes it kind of masks that, the overexposed clouds, in my opinion. So someone like that. Maybe take down the saturation a little bit of the glow. And then, yeah, you got a pretty nice shot. That is just angelic. Oh, and by the way, the tracking on this camera, that's one thing I didn't mention. The tracking is phenomenal. This was handheld. All these shots were handheld, unless it was on a tripod, but this was handheld. And that thing flew out of nowhere, so I tried to get it real fast. The IBIS locked in immediately, the autofocus locked in immediately, and just was perfect. Even through that crazy sunlight. So that, definitely big upgrade on the autofocus. This is another good example of the shadows being much cleaner than the R5. For example, if I just really crank this, really crank it and just bring up those shadows. The OG R5 would have had all kinds of red noise and grain. And there is some, but if you really zoom in, but almost none. That's not bad at all. And like I said, R5 that would have been disgusting. So that is pretty good. And also, if you look at the waveform, I'm really able to do a lot with this image. So something like that. Right here where it's peaking right here is actually the tips of these palms. That's what these little guys are. But everything here, you're not overexposed here. Your shadows aren't down. Yeah, so that's pretty much perfect. Nice blue sky. Yeah, great. And this is another example of the slow motion, the 120. Really cool shot and super clean. I'll show you in a second. Let's just add some contrast. Bring this down a little bit, some highlights. And then some saturation just for the lulls, color boost. Beautiful shot. I would probably add a little gradient here, but not gonna do that right now. Yeah, just a quick little. So yeah, that is just a beautiful shot. Yeah, I love that. But if you zoom in on this sucker, the detail you have and the lack of noise is pretty crazy. And this is probably, I think, ISO 2000, if I remember correctly. This is before the sun's out, but that is pretty insane. Super clean image. Yeah, that just looks great. I love it. I love it. So let's continue. So there's one shot that kind of freaked me out a little bit. So this is not RAW. This is just regular MP4 footage. And the amount of detail I'm able to get back on this image is pretty crazy. And it is so crazy that it revealed something that really freaked me out, actually. Where am I here? So I'm just gonna go here to the overall exposure, bring it down, get that sun right below my little mark. A little bit more maybe. Something like this. Bring down, go into log, bring down the highlights, and then maybe a little bit more. Make it, it's very dark. I wouldn't have it this dark, but as I was just kind of playing around, I noticed something weird. And that is if you zoom in, this is how incredible the detail is on the R5 Mark II. Zoom in into the sun. First of all, it's crazy that oh shoot. First of all, it's crazy I can see all these pelicans with such detail, but look at this. If you can see that, you can see, oh my goodness. You can see these are either sunspots or satellites or planets or aliens, something in front of the sun. I know it can't be, something blocking the sun because it actually moves. You can see there with my qualifier. You can see that they're actually moving past the qualifier, moving with the sun. And this is a crane light pole, so obviously those aren't moving. But I don't know what they are, but it is crazy that I have that much detail in the sun. And that this is just C-Log2, regular MP4, the fact that I can bring back that much detail, even when the foreground is that bright, it's just crazy to me. I mean, look at that. That is just insane. That's crazy. Yeah, like look at the birds. That is very impressive. So, all in all, the footage is amazing. The footage is definitely amazing, and it's really, really fun to work with. Like, I'm absolutely loving it. This is actually RAW, so let's take a look at this. So yeah, you got your basic RAW controls. This is 8K RAW, I think. I definitely noticed a little bit more noise in the RAW, of course. Got some of that, some red noise. But nothing bad. There is definitely more control on the RAW, but I mean, it is just so big. Like I said, I only had a minute and 30 seconds. It is just so big, but definitely you can do more with it. Much more flexible. Yeah. So, footage is amazing. I'm very happy with it. It blows the R5 one out of the water. In terms of the range you have in the highlights and the shadows, it's just much more fun to grade. I've been working on just these clips going back and forth for a few hours now, and I was not expecting the difference to be this big. Like, this is crazy, so I'm very excited. Okay, final thoughts. Final thoughts are, I love it. I love this camera, and I've only used it one day. I used it for an event today, actually on the same battery that I used at the beach. So the battery is actually very good. Battery life, 10 out of 10. The footage is great. I still have to put it through some more testing, but it is a solid camera. A noticeable upgrade from the R5 for sure, especially that C-Log2. That C-Log2 is no joke. I was a bit iffy because I saw some reports and stuff about the dynamic range. I know for a fact this blows the R1 out of the water, for sure. Like, grading this footage has proved it. I mean, this little bird really tells you all I need to know. That little birdie and this sun, like, that is just not possible with the R5 with C-Log3. That is definitely an improvement. Having 120 that isn't compressed into that weird 30 FPS slow motion mode is great. The SRAW is a great addition. Definitely more powerful than just the regular 4K video. Yeah, all in all, I give it, I mean, I'm super pumped. Oh, and the photos are great too. Photos are fantastic, autofocus is fantastic, haven't even come close to overheating. C-Log2, the IBIS has definitely been improved, so I'm very, very impressed. All in all, I give it a 10 out of 10. If you guys have any questions, definitely ask. I'll respond to any questions you guys have, and if you have any requests, I'll do another video on anything you want to see, or make a reel or you know, a short or something like that. But anyway, thanks for watching. This camera is great. I love it. Can't wait to keep on using it. And that's it. That's a wrap. All right.